Hello and welcome, my dear viewers, to Infamous Animation, where garbage comes to life. Today's movie is going to take us to a country that sadly has a rather shallow history of animation. Indeed, today we're going south of the border, to Mexico. Mexico is unable to claim to have many animated films in its cap. From what I've been able to find, only about 30 have been made, and most of those are rather recent. Which is strange to me, since the earliest instance of Mexican animation I can find is the fact that the animation duties of the classic Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoon were outsourced to a Mexican studio, which was created by the American sponsors of that cartoon solely to animate it for as cheap as possible, beginning a rich history of American studios hiring out animation jobs to countries other than their own. That said, their only animated film to ever get any sort of lasting appeal is Katy la Oruga, or Katy Caterpillar for the English localization. And this movie has an interesting history behind it. Katy was created by Silvia Roche, an entertainer who's done a lot of work in various media outlets. Katy was first part of a children's book, and then a radio series, both of which became very popular. The success of these products helped lead to an animated film. Being inexperienced in animation production, Televicine, the large Mexican conglomerate that owns Katy, decided that if they wanted to make anything remotely good, they would need some help. So they called in the House of Mouse. They got Steve Hullett and Peter Young, co-writers of most of the 80s Disney animated movies, to come in and discuss a screenplay with Sylvia. From Steve's recollections about the movie on CartoonBrew.com, it seems clear to me that the movie was Sylvia's pet. Since Steve and Peter were the hired help, as well as new to this company, and Sylvia was pretty much their boss, they felt they didn't have the authority to dissuade her from any bad ideas, such as her insistence that Katy speak her catchphrase whippity-pow with greater frequency than they thought was necessary. When you're the new hired hands, you do what the producer wants. So with Sylvia's storyline with them, they spent the next few months back at Disney forming the screenplay, in between their normal duties. Televicine approved the screenplay, sent it to Spain to be animated, and a year later the movie was finished. The movie became a decent success in Latin American countries, and it remains a cult classic to this day, as well as spawned a lot of merchandise, including a sequel. And yet, despite all this, it ends up here, on my show. To be ripped apart by a chubby 20-something in his parents' house. Now, while the screenplay was written in English, the original language track for this movie is Mexican-Spanish, with an English dub produced later. Since the movie is already child-friendly enough to avoid any potential censorship, and because the screenplay was translated to Spanish from English in the first place, the English dub is highly accurate to the Spanish track. As such, to avoid having to put subtitles on this video, I'm going to be using the English dub footage. Trust me, no matter which version you watch, the voice acting is the least of this movie's problems. Well, I've given you guys enough of a history lesson for now. What do you say we get on to reviewing Katy la Oruga? So the movie begins on a lone cherry tree in a great field.
Say! Where is Katy? Oh, probably on one of her exploring trips again. Counting the leaves on a twig, looking into knotholes. You know Katy.
Oh, yes, I know Katy. She never does what she's supposed to do when she's supposed to be doing it.
You want to tell us what it is Katy's supposed to be doing? I mean, I don't assume that caterpillars have many jobs. I mean, look at the three of you. The three of you are just sitting on a branch. What are you supposed to be doing?
Oh, no. She's left the tree again. Is she really eating what I think she's eating?
Cucumber leaves! How horrid!
You'd think she'd be content with our delicious cherry leaves.
Oh, that Katy. Always dissatisfied with everything.
Alright, you see, this is an amateur writing trap. It's common in Western animated movies to set up the protagonist as rebellious from their social norms. But when you begin that setup with people complaining about the protagonist without clearly showing the protagonist defying the culture, it makes it seem like the people are complaining about nothing. And it makes the protagonist feel like a Mary Sue who has no flaws and everyone else is just mad at her for not being as stupid as they are. Katy notices a shiny light and goes to see what it is, passing by some hungry crows along the way.
That small green caterpillar has finally made the mistake of wandering away from that tree of hers. and she should make us a scrumptious little meal.
You know she's like 2 feet away from you. She could probably hear you, or not. I guess Katy has selective deafness. She finds a shiny light in the form of a reflection off a glass bottle. One of the crows fails to catch her, and she flees inside.
I know how to get her out of the bottle. Just watch. Hello there, my dear.
Break the bottle.
My name is Chester, and I would like to apologize for my rude friend, Clyde.
Break the bottle.
In his eagerness to meet you, he must have given you a terrible fright, eh?
Break the bottle.
You have no idea how that grieves me.
Break the damn bottle! It's not like she can run away from you! The crows get scared off by a large light, who reveals itself to be Mother Nature.
I'm the spirit of nature, of all creation, and I would like to know why you left your home.
Because it's ever so boring to be munching on cherry leaves all day long.
Your sisters seem to like it.
But I don't. There must be other things a caterpillar can do. I feel so restless, as if I were born to be something else.
Perhaps because you were, Katy. Inside that chubby little green caterpillar you are now, there lies your real self. The creature you may one day become, if you have the courage to do it.
If I'm not simply a caterpillar, what will I be?
Only you can give an answer to that question. Why don't you go out into the world and find out for yourself? When you've discovered your true vocation, come home.
So Mother Nature sends Katy on a journey of self-discovery, and Katy sings the first of a few songs in the movie. The Spanish version pretty much became iconic to this movie, and it's one of the only sequences where the animation quality seems to be improved upon in the whole film. Katy gets attacked by a dragonfly who runs away when it sees Katy trying to flee up a spider web.
What's he so scared of?
Could be he's scared of me, darling.
She meets a spider with boobs who speaks with a Mae West impression, oddly enough. Instead of also trying to eat Katy, since spiders do eat caterpillars, the spider encourages Katy to try knitting webs.
Yeah, you try it. Great, you're doing just fine, honey.
Really? Oh, do you think someday I'll be able to spin a beautiful web of my very own?
Well, with practice, sugar. But what a web's really good for is catching wandering bugs and keeping them imprisoned, you see? They're useful to me in many ways, and they'll never escape.
Oh, how awful. It's a pity to use a spider web for that. I certainly wouldn't like to be a spider. Ah! Oh.
You little ingrate! You ruined my web!
I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to. Well, goodbye.
Well, that was over fast. Say goodbye to Boobs the Spider. She's no longer important. Instead, let's look at this guy.
That's Tinkles.
What? Who said that?
Who do you think? The chameleon you happen to be sitting on, that's who.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea.
Of course you didn't. That's why you sat on me.
Honey, we was wondering where you were.
I was up in the tall grass trying to get some shut-eye when this little girlie woke me up.
I'm Katy Caterpillar, and I told him I was sorry.
Don't be too hard on her. She ain't never seen fellas like us before.
She ain't, huh? Well, she don't know what she's been missing. We only happen to be the best darn creatures around, that's all.
You are?
You betcha! I tell you, we chameleons really know how to live. Just take a look around. Don't these folks look like they know how to have a good time?
Not really. I don't think the budget allowed you guys to live it up much more than casual layabouts.
Fun is just what they're having. Fun's what life's all about.
Oh, please don't tell me they're gonna try to sing with those voices.
Life's just a party, a great party, yes sirree.
Oh, damn it all. I'll spare you guys a song. It's about how they like to have fun, and that's basically it. One problem I have here is that this movie was only released on VHS here, which obviously have deteriorated some by the time anybody digitally transferred them. The audio deterioration, combined with these weird, strained voices, makes it difficult to decipher the lyrics nowadays, and this is the best sounding source I could find.
Oh, we ran right over your friends!
Come back here, you know.
Aw, they ain't no friends of ours.
Those oafs are salamanders. They don't do nothing all day except work.
I'll say, if salamanders ain't fishing for food, they're building boats or making fishing poles. Real boring people.
Huh, they can't even change colors. So, of course, we don't even waste our time with them.
Yeah, they're way beneath chameleons.
I don't think you should be so mean to salamanders. They're poisonous. You're not.
I don't think you should say someone is beneath you just because they can't change colors.
Come to think of it, can you change to any colors beside that stupid green?
I don't know. I've never tried it.
I knew it, guys. She ain't any better than a salamander.
Get away from here, girlie.
I'm Katy. Katy Catter.
Go hang out with the salamanders.
Well, that was over fast. Say goodbye to the Ku Klux Chameleons. They are no longer important.
I don't think I want to be a chameleon. They don't do anything worthwhile.
Hey, just because they're racist doesn't mean you can be racist right back. What the hell is that thing? That thing looks like the Honey Nut Cheerios bees swapped heads with the Dr. Seuss character.
Hello? Excuse me, but may I ask you what you're doing?
You can ask, but I don't have time to answer. I fly loads of pollen from the flowers to the hive, sun up to sundown. I'm bee number 5344 out of Her Majesty's Royal Hive.
Tell me, are you your real self?
I never stopped to think about it. No time for thinking. Her Majesty wants us to pollinate the flowers and fly right back home without dilly-dallying.
Katy offers to help the bee with all the pollen she has to carry, despite the fact that the queen will apparently get very angry if somebody helps her workers.
Whippity-pow! There's sure a lot of activity up there. And it never stops. Her Majesty sees to that.
I think I smell a cheap lesson on workplace conditions coming up. Hey, wait a minute. Why do all the other bees look the same? Why is she the only one with a freakish head?
Bee number 4592, check. Keep moving. What do you think you're doing, huh? Get back there.
You could say that your other bucket is outside and you're going to go get it, but that sounds too sensible. She gets in trouble for only bringing in half her quota, and she can't bring herself to competently explain herself. So Katy comes in and is tricked into service.
So, you carried pollen, did you? Perhaps you would like to be a bee.
Oh, do you think I could try? It seems like a very interesting life.
You'll get a chance to find out how interesting it is. Number 6286.
My name is Katy.
It was Katy. From now on, you'll be number 6286.
Brand the number onto her arm. Let her know that she belongs to me now. Now, I have to admit that this song actually is kind of entertaining. It's an upbeat song about being miserable as a worker bee, with the queen even getting some power-hungry verses in.
Working all day long, building honeycombs, and then filling to the ceiling.
Always remember you are not free. Now and forever you're only bees. Forget your wishes, longs and whims. You must obey me, I am your queen. You are just numbers, don't dare to think. It is forbidden, you're only bees. Work is your future, present and past. Work is the only joy that will last.
It helps that none of the voices are particularly strained or anything, and the queen herself has a decent singing voice. It's not Oscar-worthy or anything, but it reaches a mood that almost no other part of the movie does. It's probably the best moment of the entire film, in my opinion.
And where do you think you're going, number 6286?
Away from here! I don't like being just another numbered worker.
Throw her in this cell. We'll see how you like it in here. Now get to work. We don't want to hear another word out of you.
Katy, I've been doing some thinking, and you're right. You're not a bee.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Katy's not a bee? When did that happen?
Come on. There.
Wow, that actually ended up being a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. Katy is spotted and somehow manages to outrun flying bees before escaping by camouflaging herself on a flower. That was over quick. Say goodbye to the bees. They're not important anymore. Noticing a pattern here?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was wondering if you might help me. I'm Katy.
Well, a customer.
Customer? I don't think I know what a customer is.
You don't? Why, he's the sucker that... Oh, he's the grease that keeps the wheels of commerce turning.
I think I smell a cheap lesson on consumerism coming up.
Oh, you mean to say you don't even know what a merchant is?
No.
This is what a merchant is, my dear.
My heart clings to this thing.
Ah, no, not another song. This one is just about a bunch of things that the frog sells, and his weird voice makes it so that you have to take a second to decipher everything he says.
There's this fine mirror for only $20, and this exquisite thimble for just $15.
Dollars? What are those?
Money.
What is money?
What? What is money? Oh, my little sweetums, money is the essence of life.
But I don't have any money.
Oh, well, let's see now. Of course, there's always credit, and you can be the proud owner of this lovely button.
But what do you use it for?
My dear, you don't use it for anything. You just own it.
And that will make me happy?
Yes, of course. Voila! Now, if you'll just sign right here.
Wait, she knows how to write her name? What the hell?
How do I carry it? It's awfully large.
You bought it, now it's your problem.
But...
Run along now, I'm a busy frog and I've got lots of things to do. Good day.
Oh, my wonderful butt! Oh, I never knew owning things could be such a bother.
Well, that was over quick. Say goodbye to the frog. He's not important anymore. You see what the big problem is with this half of the movie? It's an episodic formula of meeting one-dimensional characters that are all meant to be quick and half-assed moral sermons. Instead of taking time to develop characters with interesting flaws and personalities, they jump from one poorly presented vice to another. We have tension between Katy and her sisters on the subject of conformity. Let's not focus on it. We have the issue of dealing with racial supremacists. Let's not develop it. We have a situation of devaluing individuals in the workforce. Let's not dwell on it. We have an embodiment of greed and materialism. Let's only give them 2 minutes. Oh, look! A book! On the art of animated storytelling. Let's not read it! Oh, wait, that still leaves a spider. I'm not exactly sure what she's supposed to be. Wait, Katy is mad that the spider uses her webs to catch creatures to eat. Is this some sort of weird anti-hunting message? Don't use your talents to hunt lesser animals or something like that? Well, if that's the case, then you shouldn't have used a spider to represent human hunters, because all spiders are carnivorous predators who can't survive off plants. How else is a spider going to live if she doesn't eat the prey that she catches in her web? I don't know, whatever. Back to the movie. Katy loses her button over a waterfall, and the 2 crows from earlier pick her up. They obviously still intend to eat her, but she is saved at the last second when a cat chasing a mouse runs across their path, giving Katy and the mouse a chance to escape.
You 2 blackbirds just helped my evening meal escape. I much prefer dining on gray mouse to black crow.
but you'll do if there's nothing else.
The crows convince the cat to let them live so that they can team up, with the crows in the air to help hunt down the mouse for the cat.
Just wait and see. You won't be sorry.
Oh god, seriously?
We are top guys.
This is the shortest, most useless song in the movie. And on top of all that, Clyde, the smaller bird, speaks with a stereotypical dumb voice. And when he tries to sing alongside Chester, the taller one, it makes a terrible sounding duet. In any case, I pass over Katy and the mouse.
Hey, wild tears! You got away from them birds.
They wanted to eat me for their supper, and I thought they were my friends.
Follow me. Here you go. By the way, my name's Gilbert.
I'm the kitty caterpillar.
I don't know how I'm going to survive if that cat stays around.
You could move away from here.
I'd be afraid to. I've lived in this little patch of ground my whole life. I've never been anywhere else.
Is there any place you'd like to go, Gilbert?
Yep, there is. Come on and I'll show it to you. There. That's where I'd like to be. The big, glorious city.
I'd like to point out now that Katy is voiced by Barbara Goodson in the English dub, and Gilbert is voiced by Robert Axelrod. They're the only voice actors in the dub who actually have careers after this movie, but the two of them are far better known for the voices of two other characters.
By the power and force of lightning, make our monster grow!
Yes, nearly a decade before Power Rangers began, Rita, Repulsa, and Lord Zedd teamed up in this little gem of a movie. Believe me, the thought of the Power Rangers fighting Rita and Zedd in Mexico City sounds a lot more appealing at this point.
I see great power emanating from Jorge.
Okay.
Power sombrero.
Oh. Maybe not.
Do you sometimes go into a grocery store and just do the voice and see if someone notices or something like that? Like just behind someone's...
I would probably get thrown out of the grocery store if I did that voice in the grocery store. I almost got deported from Mexico for doing the voice. That's another story.
Coincidence? I think not!
Forget I said anything. Katy and Gilbert hitch a ride on a horse carrying a buggy.
The city, huh? Well, you jumped on the right horse. I've been pulling this wagon to the city for 15 years.
The crows and the cat notice, and they follow them close behind.
Wow, certainly is big.
And noisy. Man is certainly loud.
You'd be loud too if you was always building things and tearing things down and hauling things this way and that.
Well, I'm sorry that construction tools cause noise, but it is thanks to them that we have houses to live in and buildings to have jobs at. Like animation jobs.
Why are you stopping here?
This is where my master wants his load delivered.
Your master?
Mm-hmm. The man in the wagon. Wherever he pulls the reins, that's where I go.
But you're so strong. Surely you don't have to do what man says.
He raised me. All my strength goes to serve him.
Does it make you happy?
That is a good question, yeah. Is your master gentle with you? Like, does he let you have enough rest in between jobs? Like, does he keep you well fed?
Happiness has nothing to do with it. It's my job.
Well, I want to be happy, but I don't think working for man would be the right way for me.
Suit yourself, small bug.
Is your stable in good condition? Does he keep you clean from insects? What's with this sudden shift to PETA ethics? I'm not trying to make a joke. PETA doesn't believe animals should be owned by humans, no matter the reason. Like, seriously, do the questions I brought up just not matter to them? Is Silvia Roche trying to condemn the use of farm animals or something? Katy and Gilbert accidentally crash through the roof belonging to a city mouse. After apologizing to him, the city mouse decides to give them a full tour of the city. I have no idea why he would do that right now, since they woke him up in the middle of the night.
Whippity pow! Ooh. Is all that part of the city too?
Every bit of it. You stay close to me and I'll give you the whole grand tour.
I thought we already were on the tour. You really don't need to tell us that again.
Man also invented those big things that float. They're called ships, and they carry different cargoes across the waters.
Is that what all of those boxes are full of? Cargoes?
This one's full of weapons. Man uses them to fight with other men.
Why would man do that? I thought he was wise and powerful.
Oh, no. No. I see where you're going, movie. You don't want to go there.
Well, powerful maybe. But I ain't too sure he's very wise. I mean, he claims to love life. He always talks about peace, but he never stops making war.
I don't want to do this. You're making me do this. What are you trying to teach children? I ask that question reluctantly, because I hate that question. It's a question most commonly asked by paranoid moral crusader soccer moms, afraid that any exposure to anything remotely sexual, violent, or ethically ambiguous will cause children to turn to the dark side, leaving nothing but a future of teenage pregnancies, incarcerations, overdoses, and worst of all, questioning their parents' judgment. But I feel justified in asking that question because you are very clearly trying to teach children something. Virtually everything up until this point has been a moral lesson handled with all the grace and dignity of an after-school PSA.
That's no good.
Now look at what you've done since Katy got to the city. You criticize construction and demolition of buildings simply for being noisy, unlike the peaceful, idyllic countryside, I guess. You criticize the use of animals as beasts of burden, without bringing into question how well the animals may be treated. And now, when you have a chance to bring up the topic of international trade, the only goods you feel worth mentioning are weapons. Not a single other commodity is brought up. Are you trying to imply that the only things that humans build and ship to one another are weapons? What about food? What about medicine? What about electronic components? Books? Raw materials? Anything that doesn't make human life seem like a complete shithole? No, the only things humans focus on is who to kill next. Is that what you are trying to teach children? To have such a pessimistic and misanthropic view of how the people of the world treat each other?
Katy, are you all right?
I'm fine, but I guess we shouldn't have come to the city.
I did learn something here, that I'd rather live in the country, even if that big old cat chases me.
And how hypocritical is it to criticize city life and idealize the country when the only reason this movie exists in the first place is because of one of the most powerful media producers in Mexico, with writers called in from one of the most powerful media producers in the world? And I'm sure the animation studio in Spain that you guys hired out was a decent facility that also needed a few power tools in order to be built, so that they can animate the crap that you sent them. The first time I saw this movie, I was doubtful I would have enough material to make a decent video. But the second I saw this scene, I stopped the movie out of disgust, and I knew I was going to make a video about it. I had tolerated the previous attempts to preach to children, although with annoyance. But this was where I drew the line. This painful oversimplification of human relations, and more or less stating that the main reason humans go to war is not because of complex socio-political circumstances strained to the breaking point, but because they're not that smart. Nothing more. Because it's true that most kids are too young to understand the intricacies that lead to war. Hell, even most adults don't understand them. So maybe it's a topic you shouldn't have even touched. You clearly seem ill-equipped mentally to explain it. Have you ever known a parent who's very quick to scold and nag their kids, and because they're so quick to do so, they never think about what they're going to say, and it's really easy to point out contradictions and poor reasonings in what they say? The kind of parent who says, "If they jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?" in complete sincerity. The kind of parent less focused on being correct and more focused on being right, if you catch my meaning. That's the kind of woman I believe Sylvia Roche is, or at least used to be. You can't teach children when you yourself have a dim grasp of human nature. You can't teach children when you call in experts and use them basically like yes men instead of actually consulting them to improve your product. And you can't teach children when you're a hypocrite who regularly benefits from the exact same society that you callously criticize with all the talent of a middle school fanfiction writer. And if that's not clear enough for you, Sylvia, allow me put it into words that I think you can probably understand better. No me gusta!
Man, I'm getting tired of hearing about man. Ain't there something to do that won't remind us of him?
Is this what you had in mind? The Tech. It's the biggest dance joint in the whole city.
It's real music!
Actually, they're repetitive synthesized instruments. This was the 80s, after all. Being new to crowds, Gilbert starts stepping on the toes and tails of the other patrons, causing a chain reaction to a bar fight that makes little sense, as everyone suddenly gets a hair trigger temper and starts hitting each other. Yeah, Fritz the Cat this movie is not. And this scene is one of the worst cases of repeated animation in the movie. They repeat this shot of the band quite a few times. And look how they handle this couple here dancing in the foreground. Watch how they clearly step backwards, but move forwards instead.
I never thought dancing could be so dangerous.
See you around, chaps. The sightseeing tour is over.
But I'm sorry you haven't found out what you want to become.
Maybe I'll discover it someday. At least things can't get any worse.
That's debatable. We're over the worst of it, but it's not like it gets any better. The cat finds him and chases him inside a tomato cannery, and calls in the crows.
Where the devil are they? Down there, you fools! Up!
You know, I don't get why the crows don't just leave. Yeah, the cat threatened them, but they can fly, and he can't. And I'm sure there are plenty of other critters for the crows to eat other than just Katy, so I don't know why they stick around. They accidentally fall into the tomato vat and get poured into cans.
Oh, thank goodness you're here, partner. Get us out.
Help yourself, bird brains. It's dinner time for me.
They defeat the cat by just squirting a hose on him. I'm serious, that's it. We never see him on screen again.
Well, I ended up being a short-lived character. Later, folks.
Look at the poor crows!
They're getting just what they deserve.
Wait, are the crows not even trying to get out of the can? It doesn't take much effort to rock yourself back and forth to get the can off the conveyor belt, you lazy twits. They save the crows, and the crows promise to never chase Katy anymore, and then they fly them back to their home in the country.
Gee, I guess this is goodbye, Katy.
But not for long, Gilbert. I know we'll meet again.
A romantic tease between a caterpillar and a mouse. That's a new one, I'll give you that.
Welcome home, Katy Caterpillar.
Hello, Spirit of Nature.
Have you already decided what you want to become?
No, but I know exactly what I'd like to do. I'd like to fly as swift as the birds, as free as the wind with beautiful wings, but without being a numbered worker. that asking for too much?
No, Katy. You'll become a flying flower.
Whippity-pow! That's just what I'd like to be. Oh, how about saying the magic words that will turn me into a flying flower?
I'm afraid you don't understand, Katy. If you want to become a flying flower, you'll have to do it by yourself.
By myself? But how?
First, you'll have to learn all about flying flowers.
You know, it's hard to say that she has to find out for herself when you give her an instruction book right afterwards.
Well, will you look who's back, girls? We never expected to see you again.
Did you bring us back anything to eat? Katy?
What's she doing?
Aren't you gonna say anything to your sisters? Seriously, they don't show her saying a single thing to them. I mean, I know they're idiots, but still, that's pretty damn cold, Katy. What follows is a reprise of her first song, accompanied by Katy doing unrelated stuff in nature, while what she's really doing is knitting her cocoon. I'm pretty sure caterpillars know how to do that naturally. They don't need a book showing them how to do it.
How long is Katy going to stay in that thing?
Who knows? Maybe she's planning to stay there forever.
It's just as well. That way she won't be getting into trouble.
After 10,000 years, I'm free! It's time to conquer Earth!
What on earth are you doing? I'm trying to fly, Denise. To fly? Are you crazy? You are not a bird. You'll never be able to do it.
Katy takes a quick fly around, looking at some of the creatures she met along the way, as the movie finally ends.
And so, Katy, once a chubby, rather clumsy caterpillar, became a butterfly. A beautiful creature free as the wind and happier than any other. Just because one day she had the courage to discover and be her real self.
No, she did not! You gave her a how-to book! She can't discover how to be herself on her own if you give her all the answers! Are we done yet? This movie left a bad taste in my mouth. As far as the animation goes, they did a good job figuring out a walk cycle for Katy so that her movements never feel awkward, and when they make an effort, some of the nature sequences look kind of charming. That's about all the praise I can give it. Several completed shots are recycled, like this one of the fat sister eating and the aforementioned rock band. Many scenes are planned with enough open space so that the animators hardly ever have to deal with complex perspectives and compositions, and it makes for a visually uninteresting movie, devoid of excitement or wonder. This overhead shot of the Chameleon surprises me, because it's one of the only shots of its kind in the movie. Many of the incidental characters are only shown from one or two angles, desperately trying to avoid turnarounds in order to save time and effort, which, again, is why that shot of the Chameleon surprised me. The songs are mostly filler and performed with annoying voices, regardless of which language you watch it in. Once in a while, you get one that's tolerable, but the soundtrack, on the other hand, is awful the entire way through. It has a lot of cheaply produced synthesized tracks that really grate on the ears, and almost none of it has any pleasing melodies to compensate. I found some of the pages of the book online, and the movie clearly adheres far too closely to the structure of the book to allow for a decent pace in the film. Because of this, the first half of the movie is repetitive in the way Katy meets and deals with new situations, and the second half is unable to build any real tension. What works in a children's book doesn't exactly work in a children's film. Characters are largely flat in personality, and they are abandoned quickly, preventing any lasting impression or development. And, of course, the patronizing moral lessons, which feel like the mouthpieces for Silvia Roche to spew her shallow, condescending wisdom. I am amazed at the small amount of money Televicine paid for the visuals for this movie. It was animated in a year. Most Disney movies took at least 3 years to animate. It was clearly rushed to capitalize on the popularity of the character. For one of the biggest production companies in Mexico, they really didn't give the animation studio, Moro Creative Associates, the money they needed to flex their visual muscles. It wouldn't have improved the story any, but at least it would have undoubtedly given us something more interesting to look at. The only thing expensive for them were Steve Hullett's and Peter Young's paychecks, which both amounted to 1/3 of their annual Disney salaries. If I represented Televicine, I would be ashamed of this movie. Steve and Peter sure are. I have no idea why the movie remained a cult classic in Latin America for several years. My guess would be 1 part nostalgia for those who grew up with the book and radio show, and 1 part blind national pride, because this was the first seriously produced animated movie by Latin America that actually became popular. Croatia did the same thing with the Elm-Chanted Forest, because the movies prove that your country can at least do the thing, if not do it well. I certainly can't think it endured for its quality. Some of you may be wondering why I would even bother soapboxing for so long about this dumb little cheap animated movie, and really that's the most common complaint that people like me get. Why are you wasting your time critiquing something that's meant for children? It's for kids, not for you! Why are you getting so worked up over it? Don't you have something better to do with your life? Understand this and understand this well. Just because something is for children does not give it the right, the privilege, nor the excuse to have no effort put into it. A child audience should not be used to justify laziness and apathy in the production line. That's what causes idiotic spin-offs and copycats with the same tired humor by committee every episode. That's what causes half-hour toy commercials, especially those made for syndication, with 5 new episodes every week, causing nothing but animation glitches, inconsistent writing, and hasty audio editing. Is it not a great feeling to revisit something from your childhood and discover that it has more qualities than you never noticed when you were younger? To find out that not only could it entertain the more basic tastes of a child, but also the more complex tastes of an adult? To realize that the people behind the scenes actually gave a damn about what they were making? Yes, a lot of what I cover on this show is meant for young audiences. That's unfortunately a result of the general opinion that animation is something meant for kids. But that's a topic for a different episode. But I care because I love animation as an art form. I care because I love good storytelling. I care because I remember the movies and shows and people that didn't look down on me simply because I was a child. I care about children's animation because I remember the children's animation that cared about me. This movie didn't care about its audience. And that's why nobody cares about this movie anymore. I'm Shogun Gino, and this was Infamous Animation.